Anthony Fantano for Veganism
Reviews.
Anthony Fantano, the needle drop, the internet's busiest music nerd, that is the plan. Death Grip Stan, roommate of the acclaimed rapper Cal Chuchesta, Fantano is a man who wears many hats. One of his hats, however, is in the shape of a vegetable. According to his YouTube fandom, Fantano went vegetarian around the age of 18 or 19, so around 2003 or 4, and later in life, as early as 2009 from what I've seen, he went vegan. Since then, Fantano has actively used his Twitter to sometimes speak about veganism. From being excited about new celebrities who have gone vegan in the past, like Mike Tyson or Ariana Grande, to even giving shoutouts to artists for including pro-animal messages in their lyrics. He seems to be pretty modest about the positive effects of a vegan diet by saying it could be a factor that led to his clear skin, but he's also not afraid to express that it's merely a factor that's worked for him. He doesn't seem to be making any grand declarations that veganism will be beneficial in the same way for everyone. He's also stated that music, for example, hasn't had an impact on him going vegan, so he has a good understanding of his own motivations at least. I think that because of this, he's able to reach out to people like PETA when needed to explain why what they're doing might be bad for veganism. He's certainly not okay with vegans likening veganism to human struggles and states that it will turn people off who are oppressed and will make veganism look like a lifestyle choice for the privileged. Beyond that, he's even branched into being the internet's busiest Netflix critic by saying that Joe Exotic is
Not good.
because the show centers around the profession of animal abuse without really highlighting the issues. One issue some vegans have with Fantano is that in the past he's been pretty outspoken about vegans who go too far and forget about human life as well. I can understand why this might seem like a negative statement towards veganism when he says that, but I believe that he actually says this because he cares about the movement, not because he's being some sort of bootlicker or some industry plant. I actually get a different impression. In fact, I said this about vegans verbatim in my Bible video. Sometimes we do go too far. I think Fantano cares a lot about animals, as evidenced by his decade as a vegan, but he also cares about the perception that people have about the vegan movement, so that more people will go vegan and that we can ultimately save more animals. He's slow to judge people on what they actually eat, but he's definitely quick to help them when they ask. He might be the only contact with a vegan that a lot of his fan base will have, so the fact that he's chill and level-headed and open-minded about his veganism might in fact turn a lot of people towards the idea that living this way isn't so bad after all. Obviously, this approach isn't for everyone, but we certainly need more forward activists and people who go out and do street activism, as they will reach a specific set of people. So what I believe that Fantano is trying to foster, and what I hope I can do as well, is a public image geared towards just everyday people. We might be their only exposure to veganism. Outside of his more obvious activism, Fantano's pretty open about his endeavors to the gym, so he can stay a thick boy, and he even makes sure that his YouTube comments stay strictly vegan.
Damn, boy, he's thick! Boy! That's a thick-ass boy!
That was weird. People sometimes ask Fantano about what he eats, and he always seems to be willing to let them know what some of his favorite vegan alternatives are and how to make them. He's also pretty quick to joke about his own veganism, not seeming to take this aspect of his lifestyle too seriously. It really just seems like he's loving animals and enjoying the many different vegan options that he can eat, even if it's sometimes just as simple as a potato.
Alright, so today we're going to be cooking something a little bit more cooking intensive, none of that crunchy, sweet, hippie granola shit. We're cooking tofu scramble with some nice roasted breakfast potatoes. Let's go!
Some people have even followed the specific recipes that Fantano has showed on his YouTube channel, and because of him, they really enjoyed veganism and eating tofu scramble, which is something they might not have ever tried before him. I eat tofu scramble myself from time to time, and I really love it. Fantano even gave a crack at becoming the internet's busiest vegan food reviewing nerd.
It does mimic the taste of meat pretty well.
I haven't had meat in a while, so I can't tell.
You have to take my word for it.
I'll take your word for it. Even though it's probably not very likely that I'd be interested in meat ever again, this makes the likelihood way lower.
Alright, so he eats, he pats people on the back, and he keeps people in check. But what else? As a public figure, sometimes Fantano is simply going to put out a review with which people disagree. He's going to have hot political takes, and if he's lucky, he might even be accused of being alt-right. So even though he was accused of being alt-right because of one of his past YouTube channels, That Is the Plan, he had this to say about it.
Which I'm pretty sure Anthony is currently on a mission to destroy his reviewing career and sully his already mediocre reputation through a series of unbearable attempts at being funny on a second YouTube channel that shall remain nameless. I'm predicting a YouTube-enforced full channel deletion within a year, though.
And ironically enough, he predicted his own channel's termination within 1 year, and it followed a few months after he posted this. To be honest, I didn't follow him then, so I don't know much about this channel. I've heard his response regarding the allegations that he is alt-right or racist or misogynistic, and I have to say that from what I've seen, especially his vibe check posts on Instagram, he seems to be pretty liberal, pretty involved in wanting social justice, and honestly the opposite of what you might expect to find from someone who is supposedly alt-right. Fantano has made some videos in the past to help people who might think eating vegan is expensive by providing a list of cheap vegan food that he purchases.
Here are the things that are vegan and cheap, and they will taste amazing if you teach yourself to cook, okay? Rice, kale, bananas, dried beans.
As I mentioned, he's actually done quite a few videos where he shows how to cook and or how to make smoothies. And if you email him about veganism, or at least this is what he used to do in the past, you'd get an email back with a vegan primer that he wrote. So this was basically a pre-written vegan response outlining some of the different things that you can eat as a vegan and his take on certain nutrients and how he stays energized as a vegan. So this is a pretty good resource for someone who doesn't really know anything about veganism, but they're interested in starting. One thing that is for sure is that music is deeply personal to Fantano, obviously, as is veganism. In his Let's Argue series on YouTube, he responded to the question,
Would you rather give up music or being a vegan? Whew, that is a hard question. That is a tough question.
So this clearly required a lot of reflection on his part, and he gave a pretty nuanced answer about what makes a person vegan specifically and how we do determine that and draw that line. And he also mentions that there's not some magical amount of cheese or one egg that you can eat that suddenly makes you not vegan. It's just the act of abstaining from those things completely. So basically there's a gray area where if he just ate one piece of cheese once, then he could just be vegan afterwards and not have to give up music. Fortunately, we live in a world where he doesn't have to give up veganism or music, and honestly, I don't think he ever will give up veganism. Often we see celebrities or public figures go vegan, and I can pretty much tell right away which ones of them are going to stay vegan and which ones are just doing it for some sort of trend. With Fantano, I don't think that he would immediately give up on all of his morals if he did have to eat fish or something for health, like we do see with a lot of ex-vegans who will suddenly go to hunting and other extremes and buying leather handbags. I think that Fantano is great for veganism, and we can expect that he'll continue to share a more relaxed and level-headed and almost subconscious approach to his vegan activism. It's entirely possible that he is the only vegan that a lot of his fans will ever really get to know or have the feeling of interacting with. And so I think he's a good influence, and we, the collective vegans, are lucky to have him doing this form of activism and reaching his audience. Although his approach may be shamed by some more hardcore vegans, as he's responded to those hardcore vegans himself and he's equally shamed them, you could call him a bootlicker or perhaps a devil's advocate. However, I think there is a need for his type of broader appeal to veganism through not shaming people so that he can actually save more animals. I definitely think that there is a room for forward vegan activism though, and that's one of the main reasons why I went vegan, like I mentioned. However, I think he's going to reach people who otherwise would have hated veganism if it weren't for him. That's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe and hit the little bell over there, whichever side it's on. I feel like nobody actually does that. Hit like, all that good stuff. Share this, and transition. And hello to the 250 new subscribers. I appreciate you for all your comments and everything, and I'll see you in the next one.
Eat your vegetables, dude. Eat your green. Eat some spinach. Have some kale, or some chard, or some collard green. Eat a tomato. Have some asparagus, apples, bananas, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, kiwis, papaya, mangoes, melons.